Good evening. As we continue the Building Within Project 2025 series, this is part three of a five-part series. This one is titled Creating a Local Economic System We Can Own and Control. Because as Project 2025 continues to be rolled out and they are ahead of schedule, we must absolutely understand that we are going to be left to our own vices and devices, and we're going to have to develop our own solutions for multiple things. And of course, we cannot exist in a capitalistic system if we don't have and are generating our own capital. So this part of the five-part series, number three, deals with us creating our own local economic system that we can both own and control. And as I've done with the other two presentations, and I'm going to do with the final two, I always want to deal with a premise of where I think we are in America. And of course, I have a video to explain that. And this is Brother Charles Barron and Professor James Small talking about Black people's current condition and our current status. This was in 2023, but it is most certainly relevant now.
We got to understand colonialism.
Mm.
We live in black communities in America are domestic colonies of a
Absolutely.
colonial capitalist system. And here's where they get you. They get you focusing on racism. And we have to, but racism is the ideology of capitalism. It is not the system. The system is capitalism, and then you have a socialist system, and communism is the utopian system that doesn't exist. You have communist parties and countries, but you don't have a communist government. So when we look at every black community, what is a domestic colony? A colony is when a foreign nation takes over a sovereign state and brings in its military and extracts from its natural resources from that land and the labor, slave labor. That's what colonialism is. So domestic colonialism means that we in black communities across this country, we don't have anything like Tulsa or Rosewood in the 21st century. There's no black community where we're in control of the land, the resources, the means of production, all of the social, cultural institutions like they had in Rosewood in the 1920s. So now we have none of that. We are over $1 trillion consumer market, and yet we have no community in the country that looks anything like Rosewood or Tulsa of the 1920s. And here we are in 2023. So
Let me put a
when you
slick
go ahead.
definition on it, Charles, Brother Barron. You know, somebody asked Malcolm X, said, Brother Minister Malcolm X, what do you mean by black nationalism? And to just capsulize what you said, he said, you must control the land, labor, and resources, the economic, politics, and culture where you live. We control none of that where we live. And that just capsulizes it. And,
Right.
and when we think of it, here we're expected to spend $2 trillion this year in consumer dollars.
Uh-huh.
We
Wow.
control no land,
Wow.
we control no labor, we control no resources. We do not control the economics, the politics, or the culture where we live. All right? And then we by definition, we can't even call where we live communities. Because communities
That's right.
presuppose that you control those things.
Absolutely.
That's
So
right.
we're neighborhoods in
Mm.
capitalistic colonial communities.
Go ahead.
That is our reality in 2025 and 2026 moving forward. And of course, we want to deal with not only that reality, but we want to talk about how it's going to impact us. And we can already see how it has been impacting us. But we need to understand with this Project 2025 rollout, the quote unquote colony is only going to get worse. And if you've been paying attention, you can most certainly see that. There is going to be an intentional, which has already begun, effort to dismantle the economy. There is already begun to be an intentional dismantling of the social safety net, food, AFDC, WIC, insurance, Medicaid, Medicare. There's a dismantling of the education or the quote unquote indoctrination system. There's a dismantling of federal protections on both a consumer and a citizen level as it relates to there used to be federal government protections that were put in place in the 60s and 70s. They want to dismantle that and go back to states' rights and give the states the right to do certain things. But that was the whole point of us having federal protections because the states were racist. Well, I just said they're going back to states' rights. And they are going to continue to find every way possible to fleece the poor, to make the poor poorer, and make the rich richer. And it's only been, I think at this point, it's been 11 months since Trump has been in office, and these things are only going to get worse. We got to understand that what they are attempting to do is create chaos on purpose, and they want to create chaos on purpose so that they can continue moving forward with their agenda. But what we have to understand and realize is that, as General Sun Tzu said, in the midst of chaos, there is most certainly opportunity. But of course, if you're not ready, willing, and able to take advantage of that opportunity, you will miss it. I don't know why my slides are jumping forward like that, but let me get back to. So I want to briefly talk about the strength of our numbers. We don't understand. We hear it a lot, but we don't understand how powerful we could be if we just did a few simple things. So I'm going to give you an example of what is very possible, something that we have been working on and we're going to continue to work on. But this is just an example of how much power we have right now today, that if we were mobilized and organized a little bit, we could take advantage of these numbers, utilize this power to move ourselves and our agenda forward. So this is the strength of our numbers, and this is simply exponential growth of one black person going to get another black person. So let's say if I, Brother Tamani, I love black people, I want to see black people do better, but I realize I cannot do it by myself, so I go out and get another black person to help me do that on a Monday. So on Monday morning, Brother Tamani is solo. He wants to see black people move forward. He realizes he can't do it by himself, so he goes out and gets another black person, which by the end of the day on Monday, we got two black people who say they love black people. They want to see black people do better. But they realize there's only two of them, Brother Tamani and somebody else. So Brother Tamani along with this black person, they go out and each one of them gets another black person on Tuesday. 1 + 1 happened on Monday. We go out on Tuesday where each one of us go gets another black person. So by the end of Tuesday, of one getting one on Monday, by the end of Tuesday, we have four black people. Four black people who say they love black people. They want to see black people do better. They want to see black children being protected and moving forward. But we realize there's only four of us, so we need more black people. So on the third day, Wednesday, each one of us, these four black people, go out and get one more black person. So by Wednesday evening, we have 8 black people. The process continues. We all love black people. We want to see black people do better. We realize we need more people. So on Thursday, we each go out, one getting one, to get another black person. So by the end of the day, Thursday, we got 16. We do that again on Friday. We do it on Saturday, and we do it again on Sunday. So in 1 week, we got 128 black people who say they all love black people and they want to see black people do better. If we only get this equation 10% right, if we continue to do that for 1 month of one getting one, and everyone at the end of that month gives $5 per month, we'd have $3.2 billion by which we can do something with. And if we only got this thing 10% right, because it's not going to be perfect, that would still be $268 million per month of these persons giving $5 per month. If we continue to do this, one getting one for a full month, we're not talking about 2, 3, 4, 5 months, we're talking about 1 month. If we continue to do this and everybody gets $5, if we only got it 10% right, the total number is $3.2 billion. But if we only got it 10% right, it would be $268 million by which we could do something within our own communities, in our own spaces to move ourselves forward. And let's say if we can't do 10%, if we only got it 1% right, then that's $32 million by which we can do something with in our own communities, in our own spaces moving forward. So the power of our numbers are evident. The power of our numbers are clear. We simply need to mobilize and organize and use our numbers to create the kind of economic power that we need. What we're focused on doing in this organization via the Black Gold Nations Growth for Care Alliance is that we want to create community wealth building and investor teams that work to organize, oversee, and manage community affairs. We are going to implement a program by which we can get our people out into the community and talk to businesses in the community about giving something back. And then the results of those kinds of strategic partnerships will allow us to create these teams by which we can begin to generate revenue. And of course, there will be other means as well, other processes and ventures that we'll utilize, but this most certainly will be one of them. So we can begin to create our own institutions, to create our own systems that we can have in our own communities, our own cities, as we work toward building a nation within this nation. We need to understand that other people don't come from other countries to the US, to the Black community, and open businesses. They don't do that because they like us. They don't do that because they want to give us good products and services. They do that because they can, and we allow it because we're not doing it. We need to understand how powerful that is and how much revenue is leaving the Black community. So we did some research about 3.5, 4 years ago. We didn't complete it 100%. We only got maybe 45, 46% of the research done. But what was revealed was powerful enough. So this is the business activity in one predominantly Black space here in Houston of a 5 mile radius. So we identified a Black business, and within 5 miles of that one Black business, which was predominantly in a Black community, which still exists right now, we conducted research on all the businesses in that space, to include the Black-owned businesses. And we identified, because a lot of the information is public record, you can go to the library and get it. We identified over $1.3 billion. And remember, we didn't get through all of the businesses, all of the research. We stopped because we got busy with something else. We only got about 45, 47% done. But within this 1 mile radius, we identified over $1.3 billion that's leaving this one predominantly Black space. So again, going back to the model of one getting one, add that to also creating strategic partnerships with businesses, no matter what they look like, in our space, because we have to get these businesses and our people to understand, if we don't give the money, there is no business. If we kept the money for ourselves, it becomes our business. So we need to let these business owners know what's at stake. We will starve you out if you don't give something back. And we need to let our people know they can be starved out if they don't give something back. So if we only got this scenario of capturing a percentage of this $1.3 billion, if we only got 1% of that right, and we got 1% of what's leaving to now stay, that gives us $13 million per month. Add that to the previous slide, and we have millions of dollars by which we can do something with. And this opportunity is wide open for us to benefit from. We simply have to put ourselves in a position so that we can benefit from it. So this is not going to be something that's going to happen overnight. This is going to be something that has to be done by a committed group of Black people. But we're not talking about years down the road. We're talking about implementing these things now in 2026 moving forward, so we can make sure these things happen, so we can continue to create the kind of change that we need in the spaces where we live. Because again, this Project 2025 thing is real. So what we want to accomplish immediately within the next 1 to 4 months, we want to have a local and economic SWOT analysis. I'll explain what that is later, done in the spaces where we live. We want to create local economic research of what's available and what we can benefit from. And we want to create community economic trust between ourselves and the community, whereby whatever we build as a collective, the community will benefit from it. We want to do that within 1 to 4 months of this year, 2026. Within 5 to 11 months, we want to start having individual and group training on how we can take advantage of the economics in our own space. We want to create community economics educational programs. And of course, as I said initially, we want to create create community investor teams that can manage the economic and financial resources of the community. And within 12 months, within 1 year of this year, before this year is over, we want to have incubator teams by which we are identifying current and new businesses that we can get our people in position to run. We want to establish a strategic partnership with TSU starting out, Prairie View second, and then other HBCUs in the state of Texas. And then we want to make sure that these local business strategic partnerships with any business. The scenario I just showed you with the previous slide, that was one 5-mile radius of a predominantly black space. There are at least here in Houston, there are at least 17 or 18 of these kinds of spaces, if not more. Again, we didn't complete the research. I wouldn't be surprised if they're 30 plus. So if you look at that one possibility of how much money is being generated and leaving our communities, and you look at what we could have if we only got 1%, and then you multiply that 1%, you're talking about billions of dollars, which is wide open for the taking. We just have to go get it. And then, of course, we want to create our own businesses in these spaces that we can own and we can control to put ourselves in a position to win. I need to make sure everything was shown because my slides are jumping for some reason. Yeah, maybe that's it. Okay, so the steps to get there. Again, this is not going to happen overnight, but we want to aggressively move forward. And to do that, and we're talking about within 12 months, now, January 2026. So to do this, we want to establish a local SWOT analysis. SWOT is an acronym that stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So we want to develop a local economics SWOT analysis based on where are we strong in a predominantly black space, where are we weak in a predominantly black space, what are the opportunities in a predominantly black space, and what are the threats. The first one, the strengths. We want to know what kind of local economic expertise we have in a given space. We want to know who's willing to train black people in that predominantly black space economically, and we want to know who's open to be trained. Those are the strengths. We want to identify the weaknesses. We're not mobilized in these spaces, so we have to deal with that. We're not organized in those spaces, so we have to deal with that. And we don't have infrastructure to develop and build the things that we need because we're not utilizing those strengths. We want to understand what are the opportunities in this space. One is we have the opportunity to create our own economic system that we can own and control. We want to understand that having our own businesses that we own and control is an opportunity because that will not only allow us to generate revenue, but help family members who are part of the ownership move their families forward as well as employ other black people. And of course, we want to understand the threats. Whenever we have done a thing for ourselves in this country, it's never been a question of if it's going to be targeted for destruction, is when and how, because that's what they always do. So the first threat is our mindset. We have to find enough people who have the right mindset or who are open to having the right mindset to be a part of what we're trying to do. We got to organize ourselves because, again, we're not currently organized to take advantage of this opportunity and move forward. So we got to make sure that we are most certainly organized. And anything that we do, we have to be ready, willing, and able to secure it because, again, it's not a matter of if it's going to be targeted for destruction, it's when and how. Okay, after we establish the SWOT, we want to move forward with how are we going to implement the SWOT analysis. So what we've done is that we've taken this thing on a very low level moving forward. And the lowest level we can start from is the street level. So we want to train street professionals to understand the SWOT analysis on that street. Where are black people strong on that street? Where are black people weak on that street? What are the opportunities and what are the threats on that street? And then from the street level, we move to the precinct level. After the precinct level, having a SWOT analysis, understanding where is that precinct strong, weak, the opportunities and the threats. We then move to the zip code level by having zip code captains, and then finally to the ambassador level where we have the largest voting space in a given city. Actually in every state except for Louisiana, we have districts. Louisiana has parishes. So we want to organize this thing in a fashion where we have ambassadors knowing everything we can know about that district. We have zip code captains knowing everything that we can know about that zip code. We have precinct lieutenants knowing everything they can know about that precinct. And then we have street professionals knowing everything that we can know about that street. And collectively, we have mobilized and organized our communities to have the kind of understanding, the kind of organization, the kind of intent and focus that we've never had before to really change what we are able to do in the city of Houston. And of course, we franchise that model moving out. We have to mobilize and organize our people to implement the power that we need locally, and then we run these spaces like small countries. Again, this thing is wide open for us to take advantage of, but it will never happen if we're not organized. It is time for us to get organized. So from the organization, anything we want, we can have. From that organization, we invest in ourselves, we build for ourselves, and any profits that come out of that, be they economic, be they spiritual, be they physical, be they intellectual, we reinvest those profits into these spaces to ensure that we can move forward and be the people that we need to be moving forward. If we don't organize, it is checkmate for our people.
I think black people and black Christian nationalism says we have to approach the whole problem in terms of power. Black people have to begin to build institutions. Every institution that exists belongs to white people, was built by white people, and serves the interests of white people. And for black organizational leaders to be sitting there talking as though they have power, as though they represent something. We want to represent everybody, we want to bring everybody together, we want to build a beautiful America. We don't want to build no kind of beautiful America. We want power for black people, and we're going to fight for it. It's demands confrontation and the willingness to do everything necessary to get power. And we got to take it away from white people. White people are not going to give black people anything. Politically, economically, or any other way, black man is no longer necessary in America. And the white man is hell-bent on genocide. So we have to understand we've got to build institutional power to deal with the white man moving society to destroy.
We have to be intentional on what needs to be done to build power for ourselves, because if we're not, again, it is checkmate for our people. Thank you for taking time to watch this presentation. Please get with whomever invited you here and let them know if you are ready to move forward, that you are ready to move forward. And let's get about the work of building a new kind of community for ourselves, for our loved ones, for our children. Because if we don't do this, again, Project 2025 is real. It is here. It's happening. So what are we going to do? What we need to do, no one else is going to do for us. But that is okay, because we don't need anybody else to do anything for us. Every single thing we need to do for ourselves, we already have. We simply need to utilize it and move ourselves forward. Thank you very much for taking the time. I appreciate it. If you have not seen the other two presentations, please watch the two that came before this one, and then watch the final two that come after this one, so you have a full understanding of what we're trying to do via the Black Gold Nation's Grow for Care Alliance. Thank you very much. God bless, and I hope to hear from, and meet you very soon. Take care. God bless.